Tiger Woods refuses Brian Rolapp's demand to strip major championship exemptions. This isn't just a rumor, this is a showdown at the top of professional golf. The brand new PGA Tour CEO just took a swing at the game's greatest living legend, and Tiger Woods didn't just parry, he fired back. And honestly, the sheer arrogance of it is staggering. Regular weekend golfers are grinding just to afford a tee time at their local muni, yet these country club suits in their boardrooms are trying to strip the greatest champion of his earned status because of a spreadsheet. It screams of ignorance, proving these executives care more about their legacy than the legends who built this sport. This isn't governance. It's a power grab dressed up as progress. But look past the outrage. Tiger Woods isn't some victim here. He's the architect. He helped pick Brian Rolapp. He sat on the committee that designed the new 2028 tour structure. The new rules cut him out of the picture, but when the suits tried to hand him a secret backdoor exemption, Tiger looked them in the eye and said, "No, let me show you the mechanism behind this rejection and why Tiger just proved he has more integrity than the entire boardroom combined." The bigger question isn't what he refused, it's why. And the answer starts with the man who hired his own executioner. Personally, I think Tiger just proved integrity still matters in this sport. Do you agree? Or should he have taken the pass? Drop it below. And if you actually care about who really runs this game, you're in the right place. Subscribe. To understand why Tiger Woods said no, you first need to understand who was asking. Brian Rolapp didn't just appear out of nowhere. He walked into the PGA Tour's headquarters in mid-2025 with a resume that made the suits in Ponte Vedra Beach sit up straight. He came from the NFL, where he'd spent years running the league's media operations. He wasn't a golf guy. He didn't grow up watching Jack Nicklaus chase down majors or memorizing the yardages at Augusta. He was a business fixer, the kind of executive you bring in when you need to restructure, streamline, and squeeze more money out of a product that's already printing cash. And the PGA Tour needed exactly that kind of person. The LIV golf threat had forced them to rethink everything. The merger talks, the Saudi money, the fractured loyalty of their biggest stars. It was chaos, and chaos doesn't pay well. So they brought in Rolapp. He was the outsider who could see the game without the romantic fog that blinded the old guard. He didn't care about traditions, he cared about systems, and systems need rules. But here's where the story gets interesting. The PGA Tour didn't just dump Rolapp into the commissioner's chair. They built a committee first, the Future Competition Committee, and they gave it a very specific job: redesign the tour's competitive structure for the next decade and beyond. They needed a plan that would make the product more compelling, more exclusive, more valuable to broadcasters. And the man they picked to lead that committee? Tiger Woods. The greatest player of all time was now in charge of designing the system that would define the game for the next generation. This was the moment that changed everything. Tiger wasn't just a player anymore. He was the architect of the future. And the future he designed would eventually come back to test him in ways no one could have predicted. The weight of that responsibility was enormous, but Tiger carried it the way he carried everything, with quiet confidence and an unshakable belief in his own judgment. Who else sat on that committee? Let's start with Adam Scott. The Australian veteran has seen every era of modern golf. He won a Masters, he's been world #1, and he's played through the Tiger dominance, the equipment changes, and now the Saudi wars. Scott was brought in because he represents the bridge generation, old enough to respect tradition, young enough to understand the business. He spoke carefully in those meetings, weighing every word. His presence on the committee gave the whole process a sense of legitimacy that Rolapp couldn't generate on his own. Then there was Patrick Cantlay. If Scott was the diplomat, Cantlay was the pit bull. He's never been afraid to say what he thinks, and what he thought was that the tour needed to protect its core players. Cantlay wasn't there to design a pretty system. He was there to make sure the grinders, the guys who play 30 events a year, didn't get squeezed out by a system that only rewards the top 20 names. He pushed back hard on the cuts to field sizes. He argued that reducing the number of exempt players from 125 to 100 would destroy careers before they even started. Some of his comments in those meetings were sharp enough to cut glass. Webb Simpson brought a different energy. The 2012 US Open champion is one of the most respected voices in the locker room because he's never been about the spotlight. He cares about fairness. He cares about the structure working for everyone, not just the stars. Simpson was the guy asking the uncomfortable questions. What happens to the guy ranked 105th? What happens to the rookie who needs reps to develop? His role was to keep the committee honest, to make sure the new system didn't just look good on paper, but worked in practice. And Charley Hoffman? Hoffman was the Grinders representative. He's never been a superstar, but he's been on tour for nearly 2 decades. He knows what it's like to fight for your card every year. He knows the fear of missing a cut and watching your ranking drop. Hoffman's voice in those meetings was raw and practical. He didn't care about optics. He cared about survival. He made sure the committee understood that every rule change meant someone's dream was on the line. Tiger's voice carried the most weight. When he spoke, the others listened. And when he nodded, things got approved. He was the chairman, but he wasn't just a figurehead. He was deeply involved in every detail. The committee's final plan landed in early 2026. It was aggressive, sweeping. It cut field sizes from 156 to 144. It reduced fully exempt tour cards from 125 to 100. And it introduced something entirely new, a 2-tier system that would separate the elite from everyone else. The Championship Series and the Challenger Series. One for the winners, one for the rest. Rolapp watched all this from the background. He wasn't officially in charge yet. Monahan was still the commissioner, but everyone knew the transition was coming. Rolapp was the shadow commissioner, learning the terrain, understanding who held power and who just held opinions. And what he saw was Tiger Woods. Not just the player, not just the icon, but the power broker. The guy who could make or break any proposal with a single word. So here's the question that no one in that room asked out loud. What happens when the architect builds a system that doesn't include himself? What happens when the guy who signed off on every cut, every reduction, every new rule? What happens when that same guy gets cut out of his own creation? Tiger signed off on it all. He shook hands with Rolapp. He called the plan forward thinking. He stood in front of the media and said the sport needed this. He was the face of the future. And then the future started to look a lot less comfortable. Because when the ink dried on the new rules, something happened that nobody in that committee room expected. The 80-win exemption, the one Tiger had earned with his 82 career victories, was suddenly in question. The tour created that exemption specifically to honor players who reached that staggering milestone. But no one had explicitly confirmed it would carry over to the new championship series. And Brian Rolapp? He wouldn't say the words. When reporters cornered him, he danced around it like a politician dodging a question about taxes. "We're working on eligibility," he said. "When the dust settles, there will be a clear form of eligibility." That wasn't an answer. That was a warning shot. The man Tiger helped choose was now refusing to guarantee Tiger's place in the game's most important events, and the man who designed the system was suddenly looking at the possibility of being locked out of it. What happened next would reveal more about Tiger Woods than any major championship victory ever has. To understand exactly what was at stake, you need to look at the numbers. Tiger Woods hasn't played a competitive round since the 2024 Open Championship. That's nearly 2 years of silence. His world ranking has dropped so far that he's not even in the conversation anymore. If you look at the official rankings, you have to scroll past hundreds of names before you find his. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. And the new championship series doesn't care about what you did 10 years ago. It cares about where you are right now. The new system is brutal in its simplicity. To qualify for the championship series, you need to be in the top 90 of the previous season's standings, or you need to finish in the top 20 of the Challenger Series, or you need to win a tournament. There's no gray area, no sponsor invites, no back doors. You either earned it or you don't play. That's the rule Rolapp made clear at the Travelers Championship. He didn't stutter, he didn't apologize, he looked the media in the eye and said no sponsor exemptions, no alternate spots, period. Now think about what that means for Tiger Woods. He's got 82 wins, 15 majors, more money than he could ever spend. But none of that matters under the new system. None of that gets him a tee time in the championship series. The system he helped design, the system he praised, has turned his legacy into a liability. He's not dangerous because of his game anymore. He's dangerous because of what he represents. And that's a problem that suits in boardrooms don't know how to solve. So here's the part that makes this personal. Tiger isn't just any player. He's the player who built the modern tour. He's the reason purses are as high as they are. He's the reason television ratings exploded in the late 90s and early 2000s. He's the reason kids picked up golf clubs instead of baseball bats. And now the tour he helped build is looking at him like he's a relic, like his 82 wins don't matter, like his legacy is a logistics problem to be solved by a spreadsheet. The irony is staggering. Tiger spent years fighting for the tour to be treated as a serious business. He pushed for bigger purses, better competition, more professional standards. He wanted the tour to be run like a real sports league. And now he's getting exactly what he asked for. A real sports league that treats its aging legends the way the NFL treats aging quarterbacks. Not with reverence, but with a calculator. But Tiger didn't get to be who he is by accepting the obvious answer. He got there by finding the one shot nobody else could see. And when Rolapp and his team tried to box him in, Tiger found a way to make them look like the bad guys. What he did next wasn't just a refusal, it was a lesson in power dynamics that every player on tour should study. There's a story from 2025 that tells you everything you need to know about Tiger's mindset. Another tour event, a smaller one, nothing like the championship series, offered Tiger a sponsor exemption. He was coming back from injury, his ranking was low, the exemption would have let him play without qualifying, and Tiger turned it down. He said he wouldn't take a spot away from a younger player who earned it. He said if he couldn't qualify on his own, he didn't deserve to be there. That's not humble bragging. That's a philosophy. Tiger genuinely believes that the game should be fair, that the best should play and the rest shouldn't. And he's willing to apply that philosophy to himself, even when it hurts. Now take that philosophy and apply it to the biggest stage in golf. The championship series is his creation. He helped design it. He endorsed it. He told the world it was the future. And now he's faced with a choice. Accept a special exemption that proves he doesn't believe in his own creation, or walk away and prove that his integrity means more than his legacy. He chose integrity. But that choice wasn't made in a vacuum. It was made in a room full of reporters, cameras, and the man who was about to take over the entire operation. The Travelers Championship in June 2026 was supposed to be a celebration. Tiger Woods was there to introduce Brian Rolapp as the new commissioner. He stood on that stage in TPC River Highlands, shook Rolapp's hand, and smiled for the cameras. He said all the right things. He called Rolapp the right man for the job. He talked about the future of the tour with genuine enthusiasm. It looked like a handoff of power. It looked like a passing of the torch. But then came the questions. A reporter in the back of the room raised his hand and asked the question everyone was thinking. Will the new championship series honor the 80-win exemption? The room went quiet. You could hear the air conditioning hum. Rolapp looked at Tiger. Tiger looked at Rolapp. And then Rolapp gave that answer, the one that said nothing while saying everything. We're working on eligibility. He didn't commit. He didn't reassure. He left the door open for the possibility that Tiger Woods, the greatest player in the history of the game, might not be welcome. And that's when Tiger did something that nobody in that room expected. He laughed. Not a loud, performative laugh. A quiet chuckle. The kind of laugh you give when someone says something so ridiculous that you can't even be offended. It was the laugh of a man who knows something you don't. And when the reporter followed up with a follow-up question, would you accept a special exemption if one were offered? Tiger didn't hesitate. This work was never about any one player or person, he said. We built this system for the future of the sport, not for me, not for anyone. For the game. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He said something much more dangerous. He said the system matters more than he does. Think about what he just did. He refused to take the special treatment that would have saved his career. He refused to be the exception. But he also refused to give Rolapp what he really wanted, a clean handoff that would make the new system look legitimate. Tiger just made sure that if the new system fails, it fails because of its own rules, not because of him. Now here's where it gets complicated. Because the reality is that Tiger's major championships are safe. The Masters gives him a lifetime exemption. The PGA Championship honors past winners. The Open Championship exempts him until he turns 60. The US Open, that's the only one that might be in doubt, and even that depends on how the USGA feels about their own rules. So when the title says, strip major championship exemptions, it's not entirely accurate. The PGA Tour doesn't control the majors. They control the weekly events, the big money events, the events that pay the bills. So why does everyone call it major championship exemptions? Because the championship series includes the biggest events in golf, not the majors themselves, but the events that matter almost as much. The Players' Championship, the Tour Championship, the season-ending events with $20 million purses. That's what's really at stake, and that's what Tiger just walked away from. The question that nobody asked in that press conference is the one that matters most. Why did Tiger do it? Why refuse the lifeline? Why make himself the martyr for a system that was designed to include him in the first place? The answer is simpler than you think. Tiger doesn't want to be the exception. He never has. His entire career has been built on beating the best, not getting favors from the suits. Here's what you need to understand about Tiger Woods that most people miss. He's not just a competitor, he's a perfectionist. He doesn't just want to win, he wants to win on his terms. And the terms of the new system are pure meritocracy. You earn your spot or you don't play. Tiger built that system. He believes in it. And if he can't earn his spot under those rules, he'd rather not play at all than take a handout. That's the mindset that made him great. It's also the mindset that might keep him off the course for good. Because the new system isn't going to change for him. Rolapp made that clear. The Tour made that clear. The rules are the rules, and they apply to everyone equally. That's the whole point of the new system. That's what Tiger signed off on. And now he has to live with the consequences of his own creation. But here's the cruel twist that nobody in that press conference mentioned. Tiger's refusal isn't just about him. It's about the rest of the players on tour. Adam Scott is watching this unfold. Patrick Cantlay is watching. Webb Simpson and Charley Hoffman are watching. And every one of them is asking the same question. If Tiger Woods can't get a fair shake under the new system, what chance do the rest of us have? That's the real power move here. Tiger isn't just protecting his own legacy. He's sending a message to every player on tour. He's saying the system is what it is, and if it doesn't work for the best player who ever lived, it probably doesn't work for you either. He's putting Rolapp on notice. He's making the new commissioner look like the bad guy before he even takes office. So what happens next? Rolapp officially takes over in January 2027. He's got 6 months to figure out how to solve the Tiger problem without looking like he's giving in to pressure. And Tiger just proved he's willing to walk away from the game that made him famous rather than compromise his principles. That's not stubbornness. That's a statement. The golf world is watching this unfold with a mixture of fascination and dread. The old guard is seeing their hero take a stand. The new guard is seeing the architect reject his own creation. And the suits in the boardroom are realizing that they just made the most powerful player in golf history their enemy. So here's the final question that every golf fan needs to ask themselves. If Tiger Woods can't get a fair shake under the new system, what does that say about the system itself? And more importantly, who's really running this game? The players who built it or the executives who inherited it? One thing is clear. Tiger Woods didn't just refuse a demand. He refused to be a pawn. He refused to be the poster child for a system he doesn't fully trust. And in doing so, he reminded everyone that this game isn't about spreadsheets or boardroom politics. It's about competition. It's about earning your spot. It's about the integrity that made golf different from every other sport. Rolapp wanted a clean transition. He wanted Tiger's blessing. He wanted the legend to hand over the keys and fade into the background. Instead, he got a fight. He got a player who won't go quietly. He got a champion who believes in something bigger than the next paycheck. And that, right there, is the real story. Tiger Woods walked into that press conference as the greatest player in golf history. He walked out as the most dangerous opponent Rolapp has ever faced. Because Tiger isn't fighting for exemptions. He's fighting for the soul of the game. And that's a fight he's won before. The next time you see Tiger Woods on a golf course, remember this moment. Remember the chuckle. Remember the quiet refusal. Remember the man who designed the system and then refused to be saved by it. That's not just a player. That's a legend who knows that some things matter more than winning. And the question that still hangs in the air, did Tiger just win the moral victory or lose his last chance at relevance? And there is another layer to this fight that deserves attention. Every young player watching Tiger now has to decide what meritocracy really means when the rules become inconvenient. If the system demands performance, then the standard has to stay consistent, even when the name involved is Tiger Woods. Tiger cannot demand special treatment. But the tour cannot quietly rewrite eligibility while pretending legacy has no value. The credibility depends on consistency. If Rolapp wants players to trust the new era, the rules cannot bend for favorites, executives, or legends. They have to stand on the same tee box together.